Hello and welcome back to Garrett's Guide to Embris. For our fifth installment, we are going to be looking at the shop and our expenditures, the downtime document, and our boats document. So to start us off, we're going to scroll all the way down in Discord to the expenditures tab. So this is where our shop is. Within the shop, you can buy magical items that allow your character to work better in combat. You can buy potions, you can buy different weapons, armor, other consumable items. So how you get to this is you go to our shop announcements up at the top, scroll up here, and you get a link to our sheet that has the shop. So here are all of the mundane items you can buy. I'm not going to go through them all individually, as you can look at them yourselves. These are available in any city for the listed prices. Next, you have the different city tabs. So these are ones that you can buy when you are within that given city. So you have your common items here within the city of Corrales, uncommon, common consumables, uncommon consumables. Once some of these are even purchased, they'll be crossed off by our data managers, and that means you can no longer buy it. It is first come, first serve for that. So each city will have their own set of magic items. You can travel to any of them, spending the amount of gold that we're going to look at in a little bit, and as we've discussed in our last video, and then purchase the amount based on these gold prices. There's also the player item shop over here. So when you sell an item, other players can buy it in the city you give. Data managers will input it here, and from there, you're able to go to that city and purchase, say, this gleaming breastplate in Corrales. So, here are the different rules regarding our shop. Once you've made the purchase, you log it down in this purchasing ledger channel we'll look at in a short while. You also have a 1-hour cooldown whenever you buy a magic item. That way, people aren't able to just continually buy it up if you are a richer, higher level player and basically screw over all the little guys who don't have the money to do so. This doesn't apply to mundane items or basic healing potions, which these potions can be bought for 50 gold points, or gold pieces, in any shop around the globe of Embris. And then, of course, any spell component you buy that's over 100 gold pieces in value, you're going to need to log in purchasing ledger as well. Things like Revivify and the different revival spells that have very pricey components to them, you'll need to log there. And then, of course, any item that has data management oversight or DM oversight, they can watch over it, make sure it has the correct results, such as robe of useful items, periaptive, circlet of human perfection that lets you change into a human. They decide what that form is going to look like, and various other customized things. And then, of course, item-wise, we do have a rule on which items your characters can use. When you're level 3, you can only use common and uncommon. When you hit level 5, you can use rares, which these correspond to the different tiers as well. So at tier 2, you can use rares. Tier 3, you can use very rares. Tier 5, you can use, or level 15, you can use legendary. It doesn't respond directly to the tiers, as that's tier 4. And then at level 17, you can have artifacts that don't have level progression, the highest magic items in the game. So, this shop is going to refresh once a month, and then all of these items will be unbought. Within that time, you have the ability to wishlist an item. If the item you wishlist pops up in the store, depending where you are on the waitlist for it, it'll be held for you for 3 days. No one else can buy those items until that 3 days pass. So, how you do that is you go to character list, you set up your bar here and fill out this template. Sorry, I lost the word. But you'll fill out the template up here. So, character, item, and then it goes up to an uncommon item because those are all that we will sell in the store. So for an item, say, bag of holding, see how Gregory has a bag of holding here. If another person puts bag of holding down on their wish list, Gregory will be the first one to have dibs on that one. Should the 3 days pass, it'll go off the wish list and be open for all others. That goes until we have run out of individual items. But this guarantees you have at least a shot of getting the item that is of your dreams and the one you want the most. Next, we have the purchasing ledger, where how you log it, you through our three apostrophes above tab on the tilde key. type in so-and-so purchases item in city for gold, and add in the values and the different variables in that. So next we have travel costs. As we looked at in the last one, this is where you record your traveling from city to city, with it costing 200 if you are within a different continent city, or 100 if you're in the same. So here's our 3 continents. And then of course for travel for quests, it is free. Next we have our player trade ledger. This is where if you want to make any trades with other characters, give them items, give them gold, you log it here. That way there's a record of where all the money is moving around, all the items are moving around, so we don't get any nefarious things going on. We also have player items to sell, where you can put up items that you wish to put up as auction or for other people to buy directly from you for a set price or set trade. To do so, you will fill out this format here with your character name, the item or items you are selling, and the general thing you're looking for, which many will put DM if interested. This is how much we're looking for when you talk about it, any trades you might make, that sort of stuff. So next, we are going to be looking at the Downtime document, which we scroll all the way back up to server information, up to our links to documents, and it is going to be our third with downtime and crafting. So opening this up, we're going to be going through the different activities, the corresponding channels with them, and how you can generally spend your downtime. So how you earn downtime is by questing. Every half hour you spend on a quest, you get 1 DT. So a 3-hour quest will give you 6 DT, 4-hour will give you 8. If you get half an hour, you'll get an odd number. But with that, you are able to earn downtime, which lets you do these different activities. Most of which will require a week, as it says here, some requiring more or less. And you have to have all of the downtime in order to do it. Whenever you make a check using downtime, and you have to make a skill check, you can't add any bonuses that aren't permanent. So stuff like Flash of Genius, a 1-minute Bless, or various other spells or abilities that might add a short-term buff to your ability checks, you cannot use. It has to be something long-term, like Stone of Good Luck, that lasts as long as you're attuned to it with the +1 to your modifiers. Jack of all trades for bards, that gives you that general improvement to all your skills. So on and so forth. So in terms of downtime hours, each downtime day consists of 8 hours. Sometimes you can break these up if necessary for some of the spells, though that is a very uncommon thing. One of the more common activities you can do with downtime is making money. So when you are making money, you use a skill that you choose. You can use a tool you're proficient with or a skill. Not at the same time. If you use a tool, you get a roll with advantage when you use this command. So you'd say use a blacksmith tool. You'd do this roll 7 days because it has to be an interval of a week. So 7, 14, 21, so on and so forth. And then times a d20 plus whatever stat you attribute to your smith's tools, plus that proficiency, and then times 3, and then advantage. So these 2 commands are ones you can copy there. With, of course, if you have expertise in a particular spell, you might want to use this one over the advantage one, as that would give you the higher overall times 3 based on the rolls. But that is up to your prerogative and more so based on your character. If you have specific questions on what stats you might roll for a tool or an ability, feel free to ask it in hashtag questions in the public chats. So this will be going down in our downtime channel here on the Discord in the non-adventure work section. So you'll fill out this black bar, say character spends this much DT in whatever city you're in, doing whatever activity you attribute to it. Then if you use a stat, you have to name the stat or the tools you utilize, and then how much gold you earn. So next we have hunting. This is a way to gain XP outside of a session. You'll use the hunting channel in this downtime area. But basically, for each downtime you spend, you gain 50 XP. Pretty simple, sweet, to the point, helps you get that extra little XP to level up if you don't get enough on a quest. But that's one of our nice and easy ones. Next we have our crafting. So mundane crafting is a bit more complicated than magic crafting, as you're going to spend gold equal to a fourth the value of your item you wish to craft or buy to get those raw materials. Next, for each day of downtime you spend, you'll make an ability check using a tool you have proficiency in, and multiply that result by 6. I cannot speak English today. Value in gold of items you can create in your tools that day. So, basically, you're going to use DT as needed until you can make that gold add up to the total price of the item. Or higher, should you roll well enough. So, as an example here, if you use the blacksmithing tools to create a splint, spend 50 gold up front for the raw materials, then you roll a d20 plus 8 times 6 each day, based on whatever stat they're using with that tool. And then, as it continues to add up, eventually you'd get over 200 and the item is completed. If you are over 200, that extra gold is gone. Next we have magic item crafting, which is a little bit different and somewhat more complicated. So with magic item crafting, the first thing you're going to need is a schema. This is basically your schematics, your way to create this item, the instructions to do so. You can find this schema in the world, talking to other players, or you can carouse, which is an activity we'll be looking at later, in order to receive a contact who will give you that schema, or spend a lore point, which is another activity we'll look at in a little bit. From there, you can also break down a magic item to get the schema. So let's say you have +1 longsword. You break that down. You no longer have a +1 longsword, but you have the schematics to create more. And, of course, it fully destroys that item. So, also, if you have a schema or someone else has a schema, they can copy it for 3 days of downtime with no gold cost to copy it. Once you have your schema, you'll need to learn what kind of ingredients they call for in order to create the magic item, as each magic item will have a special ingredient that you will learn from the different DMs. How you do that is you go over here to our downtime, lore points, and item materials. So you'll simply create a ticket, which can be seen by all the DMs. Tell them, hey, I have a schema for this item. What creature would be attributed to it? How do I get it? What part of a creature do I need? And they will give you that creature in the body part. This being within a range based on the rarity. So for a common item, CR 1 to 3, uncommon 4 to 8, so on and so forth. And then once you have that material, you can either hunt that down by filling out an item material post up in the quest tab up here, as we looked at before in the last video. Fill that out with what material you need and creature and see if a DM will pick it up and let you go fight that creature. Or you simply go and gather it on your own, should you be strong enough. So, how you do that is it'll take 1 week of downtime and has no gold cost. So you're just spending a week instead of hunting it on your own. Also, when you gather materials to brew a potion or other consumables of that nature, you gather enough to craft 4 potions. Consumables, as I misspoke, when you craft them, you get enough to craft 2 of those. So with potions it's 4, consumables it's 2. Giving you a little bit more bang for your buck when it comes to those. So how you acquire material is based on your current level. You have to be at least level 5 to gather those materials for the common one. Basically the idea that you could fight a CR 1 to 3 pretty easily without having to worry about spending that weak material. Uncommon's level 9, so on and so forth. So once you have your material and your schema, you can actually build the magic item, which has its additional costs. So it is designated into 2 different types with every magic item, either a major item or a minor item. So consumable items will always cost half the time. Let's see. The cost and timing goal is based on this minor. Trying to see, I don't believe it has it written here. We have it pinned down in our data chart, so that'll be a thing I will adjust later. But in general, everything is going to be major unless something calls itself minor. So whenever you craft a consumable, it will also be half the costs that are listed here. So when it comes to major, it's going to cost this much downtime, this much GP based on the rarity, and also in order to craft it, you need this proficiency level. So you need to be at least tier 1 for this, tier 2 for this, tier 3 for this, tier 4 for this, and so on and so forth alongside these additional costs to crafting these items. Next we have injectors. You can build these. They are bonus actions to inject potions. They follow the magic item crafting as a rare minor item. So you need that 2 weeks and 500 GP. So outside of quests, you are able to cast spells as you wish, unless downtime is needed to cast those spells based on a higher amount of casting time for them. Some spells require an hour, some spells require even more. At which point you will spend the downtime in total of 2-hour increments per day to spend it on that thing. So next we have scribing spell scrolls. You could scribe a spell scroll at any point using a spell that is on your spell list in order to make it. So you could scribe a first level spell for this cost, second level for that, and then it is of any spell of that level that you can cast. Next, we have the brewing of healing potions, which will follow a specific requirement per tier, and then these listed out costs. I'm going to be slightly expedient with these as we do have a few other documents we want to look through. So next we have our training ability. Also, for all of these different crafting-based ones, the spell scrolls, crafting of items, you will put these up in our downtime section with the crafting section, where you are making the different potions, making the different items, scribing the different spell scrolls, so on and so forth. But now we move to our training, which is going to be done in our training area here. So how you train is you spend 4 weeks of downtime, 500 gold, and through this you can gain any number of additional languages, tool and weapon proficiencies, and also you can gain additional skill proficiencies equal to half your proficiency bonus rounded down. So if you're a tier 1, that means you could have 1 additional skill by spending these amounts. You can also use this to retrain your feat, ASI, subclass, or fighting style. Should you find that you dislike these abilities that you have chosen previously and you wish to shift them up as your character changes, you are free to adjust them through those costs. That way, you feel more comfortable playing the character and you are enjoying playing them as much as you can. So now we finally get to carousing, that thing we talked about earlier with finding schemas. This is where you go out into the world and try and meet an NPC that will help you out. This NPC will be of a lower class, middle class, upper class, or religious class, with different gold costs based on which class you choose. And then it is always going to cost you a week to find them. So you will log this in our carousing channel in the downtime section, where you spend a week carousing with X individual, spending this much gold, and then you are going to make a check based on one of the skills listed out for that group. So should we be doing a lower class, we're going to do an athletics check. You will go down to our DT dice rolls. Exclamation point R, 1d20 plus 4. Athletics. Carousing. Video. Just to log that. I rolled a 6. So with that 6, I get no new contacts. If I were to get a 5 or less, I get a hostile contact, which means they will actively be looking to hinder me and cause harm to me. Going higher, you get additional contacts that can be beneficial. You can use them for schemas, use them to learn different things about the world, cast some spells, help you out in roleplay situations, so on and so forth. At any time, you can have a maximum number of unspecified allied contacts equal to 1 plus your proficiency bonus. So, for tier 1, that'd be 3, tier 2, that'd be 4, so on and so forth. Next, we have research. So this is another way to gain a lore point, more so based on intelligence characters, in which you are able to roll a check that's going to cost you 1 week and 50 gold at base. You can also pay additional 100 gold up to 600 at a +1 bonus to your roll should your intelligence not be higher. That way you have a higher chance of getting lore points. So lore points can be used in session in order to gain knowledge on a particular monster, a particular thing based on your research, as the DM may allow you to know. You can also use a lore point to get those schemas we talked about with crafting magic items, and various other ways to utilize them to learn more information. One way to find out more information, if you're just looking for general topics, you can make one of those tickets as we looked at with lore points and item materials. And from there, you are able to learn some more about the world of Embris. Next, we have ventures. These are DM-made activities that you can use in order to accomplish a specific task that is approved by the DMs and the admins. But they're more general, so that is something that happens at various times. Miscellaneous activities, different miscellaneous activities that are also approved by the DM to be logged in miscellaneous. And then, of course, with the passage of time, things like building a structure, which we will look at in the next video, those pass based on the day. Downtime is different from that, in which you can push it forward on its own as if progressing days within the world. But there are many different things that will progress by the day, such as Pots of Awakening, where you need a certain amount of days before the Pot of Awakening turns into an awakened shrub. If you spend downtime, it will pass that day by, otherwise the passage of time on its own will push that forward. Next, there's jail. So if you are caught doing a nefarious deed within the world of Embris as a character, the DMs have the full ability to throw you into jail, awarding a fine, awarding jail time. Should they do so, it is at their discretion with the approval of the admins if necessary. And when you are in jail, they can basically give you negative DT for however long you will need to be spending in jail. This is that way you don't have to lock the character away and retire them, push them away for however long they're in prison. Kind of just puts you into downtime debt instead. But that is our downtime document, which you will fill in with many of these. We'll look at construction later on, as that is something that comes with our structure document. So the next document we are going to look for is our boat document. You can find this up in our server information. This is another place you can purchase different materials and upgrade ships, which ships are another source of revenue within the server. So here we have a chart that gives the stat block of each individual ship based on their size. So you have small through gargantuan, different damage threshold, weapons, strength, dexterity, and constitution. So going through these lightly to kind of show what they each mean. You have your standard AC, HP. Hull dice is how many times you can repair a ship while out at sea before you need to stop at port to recharge those hull dice. Damage threshold, if it doesn't deal damage equal to the threshold, it won't deal damage to the ship. So if you roll a 9 on the damage roll, it won't deal damage to a medium ship. If you roll a 20, it won't deal damage to a gargantuan, so on and so forth. Next, you have the cost. This is how much it will cost to buy each of these vessels. And the maintenance cost. So once a month, you will have to pay a fee at the beginning of the month that has to do with these set amounts in order to maintain your ship, maintain your crew that is required for this, and keep it running. So what's the benefit of ships? Well, ships have the benefit of being able to earn you an income. You can use them on quests, should there be a boat quest in which you can travel, use any weapons you have on them, so on and so forth. And we're going to look at the income in a little bit as to them. You can also buy weapons to fill in those weapon slots by looking here at this chart of siege weapons, showing the different details as for those weapons. And on large and huge ships, they gain a room point, which will make a little bit more sense once we talk about the structure document later, but basically you can add any of these rooms to one of those ships. These allow you to add a bit more personality to your ships and add some extra benefits to them that will help you on quests. So in terms of traveling with the ship, they don't travel through teleportation circles like you will when traveling between city and city. They take 3 days to travel, either sped up naturally through progression of time in real life or through 3 DT downtime days in order to travel between cities on the same continent. And then if a city is if it is traveling to a city on another continent, it's going to take 3 weeks in real life or in downtime days. So for some specified things for travel here, travel between Kirloch and Corrales takes only 3 days to occur, as they are very close to each other on the map. And ships cannot be stationed within the cities of Thane, Orndalur, or Nortisser, as they are landlocked cities. So earning an income. Any ship you can send out for 2 weeks by logging in the miscellaneous channel, which is down in our downtime area. You will log that you have sent out, let me find an example, whatever the size of your boats are, how many of them, in what city they're in for that 14 days, returning on what date, calculate 2 weeks out, and then when that time comes, you earn an income, which is based on these gold values here for each ship. So you'll go down to DT dice rolls. If we had a small ship, you'd roll 2d6 times 15, and then you will log that in the revenue section. Somewhere up here where Calypso returned, got this much gold in total. And from there, earned a good profit on the ships. That is one of the uses of them. In terms of repairing ships, this is our way you can repair it, pretty self-explanatory. Full repair for 500, 15 for each gold point missing, gold piece, or each hit point missing. So next, we get to upgrading ships. So each ship is able to be upgraded in particular ways. There are a few different categories of upgrades, and you can have one per each category. Whereas weapons, you can have however many based on the weapon slots your ship has. So our first category, we have the hull upgrades, which has an individual cost and then individual benefit. After that, we have our movement upgrades, individual costs, individual benefits, and each one offers their individual assistances and different benefits that they can offer you. I'm not going to go through them individually, as you can read through them. Look through what benefits they can offer your vote. Figurehead is the next type of upgrade, where you can have a figurehead up at the front of the boat, either for style or other benefits. Next, you have these upgrades, which this shows the list of how many weapon slots you can have available per size of ship. And then, of course, here are the different upgrades you can add to your weapons. There's also the miscellaneous ship upgrades that go on anywhere. And that is our ship document, which those upgrades will help mainly in combat should you be using your ship in boat-based quests. Next, we're going to look at finally our magical poisons catalog. So here are just a variety of poisons that you can buy either within the shop or craft them as magic items, as these will appear within the shop we looked at earlier, though mainly the ones that are only the ones that are uncommon or lower. But you can craft any of these as you would other magic items. So you find your schema, you're going to find the materials out in the wild, and then make them. But that is our poisons document, not too much to go into detail with here, as DMs are also able to distribute, and you can find their details here and read through them at your own discretion. But with that, we will be ending off our video on the additional documents and the expenditures within it. I hope you learned something. As always, if you have any questions that were not answered here, questions chat is always open within our public tab. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.